All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always up for a good deep dive.
Okay, perfect. So today, we're going to be looking at Mike Tyson.
One of the greats.
Absolutely, a boxing legend. We've got this great article here called Mike Tyson, From Being Bullied to Becoming One of the Greatest Boxers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of people think they know the story of Mike Tyson.
Yeah, the surface level, right?
Yeah. But I think when you really start to dig in and you look at this article, you see that there's a lot more to him
Oh, absolutely.
than meets the eye. I mean, did you know that before he was this knockout artist, he was actually like a small, kind of nervous kid?
It's hard to picture, right? The guy who became Iron Mike.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like getting picked on a lot. And I think that's one of the things that the article really digs into is this kind of, what was his childhood like? And it wasn't good.
Not at all, no. I mean, growing up in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Tough neighborhood.
Yeah, we're talking poverty, crime, violence, all that. Like just a really tough environment to grow up in.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, it's hard for people to maybe really understand unless you've experienced something similar.
Yeah.
But just the psychological impact of like growing up in that kind of environment.
Yeah, definitely. For a lot of kids, it can be incredibly damaging, but for some, it almost triggers like this survival instinct,
Right.
a need to adapt, a need to fight back. And it seems like, for Mike, that manifested as getting into street fights.
Which, yeah, led to more trouble.
Ironically, yeah, more trouble with the law. I mean, the article says he was arrested 30 times before he even turned 13.
That's insane.
It's like a crazy cycle of adversity.
It's almost like he was boxing,
Yeah.
before he even knew what boxing was.
Right, like the streets were his first ring.
Yeah. And then, there's this really interesting turning point that happens. He ends up in a reformatory school.
Right.
And he meets this counselor, Bob Stewart, who sees something in him.
He sees potential, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, I will train you, but you have to improve your behavior, and you have to get serious about your education.
Pretty standard deal, right? Get your act together.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. Mike, who had been labeled like with a learning disability,
Wow. Okay.
he actually starts to flourish academically.
No way.
Yeah, like he gets into reading, he improves his skills significantly. It's crazy.
So it really was about having someone believe in him, someone pushing him.
Yeah, and I think Stewart really recognized that, like, this was a kid who actually was craving discipline. He wanted structure. He wanted someone to, like, to kind of, I guess, mentor him, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think having that outlet for all that pent-up energy and aggression was huge.
Yeah, so that's Stewart. And then enters Customato,
Ah, the legendary
a
Customato.
legend. And he sees this kid, and he's like, this kid can be world champion.
He had an eye for talent, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was like, I see it. But Donato was, like, notoriously demanding.
Oh, yeah. Tough love, old school style.
Yeah, pushed him to his absolute limits, like
Yeah.
physically, mentally, the whole thing. I mean, the article talks about, like, sparring sessions with, like, way older, more experienced boxers.
A real trial by fire.
Totally.
But D'Amato knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah, he knew that to create a champion, you couldn't go easy on them.
Exactly. Got to push them beyond their comfort zone.
And it wasn't just about physical strength either.
Right. It was mental, too. Like that killer instinct, that confidence. D'Amato helped Mike cultivate that.
And then, just as his career is really taking off, tragedy strikes.
Oh, yeah. His mom.
His mother passes away.
I think he was only 16 at the time.
So young, I can't even imagine losing your mom at that age, especially after everything else he'd been through.
And the article mentions he was expelled from school around that same time for getting into fights. Lashing out. Understandable, but still.
It's like, how do you even process that kind of grief,
Right.
He could have just completely spiraled.
It would have been easy to give up, for sure.
Mhm. But he didn't. He channeled that grief, that rage, into his training.
It's almost like that's when the Iron Mike persona really started to form,
Oh, yeah, that intensity, that focus.
He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting to honor her memory.
Powerful stuff. So he sets his sights on the Olympics, right?
The dream, right, for so many athletes.
Yeah. But get this, he doesn't make the cut.
What? Seriously? That's crazy.
I know, right? This guy was dominating the amateur scene.
There must be more to that story. What happened?
The article doesn't really go into details, but you have to wonder how that affected him. To come so close to your dream.
And fall short, yeah. Devastating.
But instead of being defeated by it.
He uses it as motivation.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm turning pro.
At 18. That's bold.
And that's where it all begins.
Yeah.
The legend of Mike Tyson.
The beginning of a whole new chapter.
And his first professional fight. First round knockout.
Wow. Talk about making a statement.
No messing around.
Yeah.
And everyone starts paying attention.
How could you not? This young, ferocious fighter with incredible speed, power. He was a phenomenon.
Iron Mike.
The nickname fit perfectly.
It did. But then, amidst all this success, more loss. D'Amato passes away.
Oh, man, that's rough. The same year Mike goes pro, too.
Can you imagine, like, losing your mentor, your surrogate father, the one who believed in you?
It's heartbreaking, especially after everything else he'd been through.
Yeah, but even with all that grief,
He keeps going.
he doesn't crumble. He channels it all into his boxing, becomes even more focused. And then, just a year after turning pro, at 20 years old.
He becomes the heavyweight champion of the world.
Unbelievable, right? From Brownsville to the youngest heavyweight champ in
That's
history.
in a story. Talk about resilience and determination.
It's inspiring, for sure. And the article goes on to highlight some key lessons we can all learn from Mike Tyson's journey.
Oh, yeah. What kind of lessons?
Lessons that go way beyond the boxing ring,
Yeah.
about overcoming adversity, about finding your purpose, even when the odds are stacked against you.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to unpack.
We do. And we'll do just that in the next part of our deep dive.
So we've seen Mike, rise from this difficult childhood to become the champ, the top of the boxing world. But life's not always a straight line, is it?
No, not at all. And I think that's what makes this story even more fascinating, right? Because the article, it doesn't shy away from, like, the more controversial parts of his life.
It gets messy.
Yeah, the late 80s, early 90s, there's, like, a lot of turmoil, personal stuff, legal battles.
Yeah, you think about it. You're this young guy on top of the world, fame, fortune. The pressure must have been incredible.
Overwhelming, I bet.
And without D'Amato there to guide him,
Yeah, that's got to be a huge loss, right? Like that void.
it changes everything.
And then you have, like, the very public divorce from Robin Givens in '89, accusations of abuse.
Definitely took a toll on his image.
But I think it starts to affect his boxing too, right?
Oh, yeah. He's still winning fights, but that aura of invincibility, it's not quite there anymore.
Like the loss to Buster Douglas in 1990. Shocking, right?
Everyone remembers that fight. I mean, he was undefeated. 37 wins, 33 knockouts. It was like, is this guy ever going to lose?
Unstoppable.
And then, boom, Douglas takes him down. It was like this myth, this persona of Mike Tyson. It's shattered.
And I think even before that fight, the article suggests, like, there were cracks, without D'Amato's discipline.
He starts to lose focus.
Yeah, the training regimen slips,
Yeah.
partying, distractions.
Mhm.
It's like that support system, that foundation, it crumbles.
And it's a reminder, even the most talented people, they need that guidance, that structure.
It's just stay on track.
Exactly. Talent alone isn't enough.
And then, of course, there's the rape conviction in '92
A very dark chapter.
and a prison sentence. This isn't just a loss in the ring, This is life-changing stuff.
Serious consequences. And it raises a lot of difficult questions, right? About accountability, about redemption.
Can people change?
Exactly.
The article mentions that he converts to Islam while in prison, like a period of reflection,
Yeah. A lot of soul searching, I'm sure.
trying to make sense of everything. So he gets back into training in prison, preparing for a comeback.
But the Mike Tyson who comes out in 95, he's different,
Older, maybe wiser,
but still carrying the weight of his past.
and everyone's watching, right? The boxing world is like, okay, what's he going to do now? He wins a few fights, reclaims some titles.
It's not the same.
Something's missing. That spark, that hunger.
I wonder if it's possible to ever truly recapture that after everything he went through.
Like, what are you fighting for at that point?
Right. Redemption,
Mhm.
validation, or just survival.
And then the Holyfield fight,
hmm
97, the ear bite.
I remember exactly where I was when that happened.
It was insane. Talk about a moment that just defines a career.
I mean, you can analyze it from a psychological perspective, right? The
Mhm.
pressure, the frustration. He's losing the fight, and he just snaps.
Primal.
Yeah, it cost him
Right.
disqualification, loses his license.
Condemnation from everyone. It seemed like the end of the road.
But it wasn't, and that's what's so interesting. This is where things take, like, a completely unexpected turn.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, the boxer, kind of fades away, and we get this new chapter,
Yeah.
reinvention.
He starts acting, does a one-man show on Broadway.
Cannabis even.
Who would have predicted that?
It makes you wonder, like, is this the real Mike Tyson now? Or is this another persona, another...
Performance.
Yeah. It's almost like he's trying to figure out, like, Who am I outside of the ring?
Right, like, I'm not just a boxer, there are all these other sides to me.
Which is what makes it so compelling, right? It's not just a sports story. It's about, like, the human experience, the messiness, the contradictions, trying to figure it all out.
Exactly. We're all constantly evolving, reinventing ourselves.
And in the final part of our deep dive, we're going to look at, like, what are the lessons we can actually learn from all this? What is Mike Tyson's journey, both in and out of the ring, teach us about resilience, about redemption, about the power of reinvention?
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, we have really gone deep on Mike Tyson, haven't we? Yeah, we've covered it all, his tough childhood, the highs and lows of his boxing career, the controversies, and then this, like, whole unexpected reinvention.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild ride. But as we kind of wrap things up here, I'm curious, like, what are the lasting takeaways? What can we learn from all of this?
Well, I think what's amazing is how much we can learn from somebody's life story, even if it seems, completely different from our own.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's story, for all its drama, really gives us some incredible insights into human nature.
Yeah, I think one thing that really stood out to me was the whole mentorship piece.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Stewart, Customato, they play such a key role in shaping Mike, especially early on.
Absolutely. And it really highlights how important it is to have someone in your corner, someone who believes in you, who supports you, who can guide you.
Yeah, like, I wonder how different things would have been for him without them. Would he still have found boxing?
Maybe, but I doubt he would have reached those same heights. Right. And it makes you think about the people in our own lives,
Mhm.
the mentors, the teachers, the friends, the family.
They make such a difference. It's not just about individual talent, it's about having that support system.
Totally. And then, even during his darkest times, Mike, he never stopped trying to improve himself.
That's right.
Like in prison, he could have easily just given up,
Yeah, oh yeah. Lost all hope.
but he didn't. He got into reading, reconnected with his spirituality, started training again.
Yeah.
He used that time to really reflect and grow.
It's powerful. It shows that no matter how tough things get, we always have a choice.
We do.
We can let our circumstances define us, or we can choose to grow from them.
And then there's the whole reinvention thing, right?
Oh, yeah. Unexpected turns.
From feared boxer to convicted felon to actor, entertainer, cannabis entrepreneur. Like, what?
It's wild.
It really challenges you to think about, like, can people truly change? Can they shed those old labels?
Absolutely. I think Mike's story shows us that we're constantly evolving, reinventing ourselves. We don't have to be defined by our past.
So, I mean, if we were going to boil down Mike Tyson's story to a few key takeaways, what would they be?
Well, one thing that stands out is the importance of finding a positive outlet for your energy, your passion. Mike had all this raw power, this intensity that could have easily led him down a very destructive path.
Oh, yeah.
But through boxing, through mentorship, he found a way to channel that into something constructive.
Right.
And I think that's something we can all relate to. We all have these strengths, these driving forces within us, and it's about finding the right way to express them.
That makes sense. It's not about suppressing who you are. It's about, like, finding that outlet, that purpose.
Exactly. And another big takeaway is resilience, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're all going to get knocked down in life. It's how we get back up that matters.
Exactly. It's about having that grit, that determination to overcome challenges, to learn from those setbacks, and to keep moving forward.
And then finally, the power of reinvention.
It's never too late to change course, to explore new possibilities.
Yeah, Mike Tyson, the boxer, the man, the enigma. He's a walking example of that. He's had so many chapters in his life, each one different, each one teaching us something new about the human spirit.
And it's a reminder that we're all capable of change, of growth, of reinvention.
Well said.
It's never too late to write a new chapter in your own story.
I think that's a perfect place to leave it. So as you go about your day, your week, your life, remember the Iron Mike within you. That strength, that resilience, that ability to overcome and reinvent yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, keep pushing those boundaries. We'll see you soon.